皆さんまた来てくださってありがとうございます。復活いたしましたアラカン姉さんです。ということで別のチャンネルも作っちゃいましたから、いざという時はそちらがあります。そちらはね、ショービズ談話室、ニューヨークショービズ談話室です。ということで、今日のニュースは何あげようかなって思ってたんですけど、またハンターバイデンの今度肉声が出てきました。ということで、この肉声とそれから今全米で犯罪率が爆上がりする中、どんどん警官が辞めちゃってるんですね。で、警官不足ということで、とてもこれ深刻な問題なので、この2つを乗っけてみます。どうぞ。
Meanwhile, newly leaked audio from Hunter Biden's laptop revealing just how much sway Hunter claims to have over his dad, the president.
He'll talk about anything that I want him to, that he believes in. If I say this is important to me, then he will work a way in which to make it a part of his platform. My dad respects me more than he respects anyone in the world. I have the support to know I can do anything.
Well, here to react, Fox News contributor and author of The War on the West, Douglas Murray. Douglas, this is incredible. The girl he was talking to is an artist from the UK, and she asked him, what does your father say about his crack addiction, about your crack addiction? And he says to effing stop, and he's scared to death. And then he goes on to tell this lady, when he becomes president, we're going to promote your art, and we're going to have a collaboration together.
You know, Hunter Biden bears out this thing that every monarchy knows. What do you do with the prince? The prince is always a problem,
Yes.
you know? Yeah. And it's particularly a problem if the prince is not going to get to the throne. How do you deal with a problem like Hunter Biden? This was clearly an issue in the family. He says in this leaked audio, you know, I think my father's God, and the thing is, he's told me since the age of 2 that I'm God. He has this extraordinary mixture of incredible self-doubt, self-loathing, self-esteem, extraordinary self-esteem to say, I can tell my father what to say and he'll say it. Mm-hmm. I mean, whether you're in politics or not, a little princeling, dauphin or not, that is not a good and healthy sign in a family.
Right. I mean, it's amazing how much is out there. A book's been written about this. Now all the networks agree that what we knew 2 years ago is true. The laptop is real. And yet the FBI is still investigating. You got millions of dollars of transactions, let alone this gossip type thing here, where, you know, a son with influence on his father is no big deal. A father wanting his son to get off crack is okay. But the bigger story is, what is taking so long?
Well, I think that's what annoys so many people in this country, is just this sense that there's an unfairness about this story. Hunter Biden was sadly a drug addict. He achieved very little in his career. He would have achieved arguably nothing if he hadn't happened to have the surname Biden.
Right.
And because he had the surname Biden, he was, you know, put on energy boards. He was receiving tens of thousands of dollars a month for expertise he did not have in countries he didn't know, in companies he didn't understand. And that was all because of his family connections. And I think a lot of Americans think, you know, if the surname had been something else,
Of course.
Trump say, maybe this would have got attention.
Sure.
Maybe this would be investigated earlier.
You know, Douglas, what we just heard him tell that woman probably is a lot like the business pitch he gave to Burisma and the other companies, because it's like, I'm an insider. I can do this.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, of course. I mean, what other pitch did he have? You know, I'm a great
Just
expert.
have this one on tape.
Yeah, and I'm an expert on Ukrainian natural gas resources. Was that his pitch? No, of course not. The only pitch he
My
had...
dad thinks I'm God.
My dad thinks I'm God, and he'll do what I tell him.
Right.
That's why he was on the board.
What about-
He's the smartest
That's why
guy
he
he
was
knows.
making money.
What about his lavish spending? $200,000 a month from October 2017 every month until February of 2018 on luxury hotels, his Porsche payments, dental work, and cash
You know,
withdrawals.
Gulf monarchies and others around the world know exactly this problem. They've seen it. They know it. We can recognize it too.
All right. Douglas, thanks for getting dressed up for us, tie and everything. Look at you.
Pleasure.
All right.
We've seen the numbers, we've seen the media reports. There's been a historic rise in crime across the country that is only expected to get worse in the hot summer months. But right now, some police unions are sounding the alarm of a nationwide officer shortage. In New York City alone, new data is revealing that 1,500 officers have either resigned or retired so far this year. It's actually closer to 1,600 officers. That's up nearly 40% from this time last year, the largest mass departure departure on NYPD record. To help talk about exactly why this wave of resignations is happening, I'm joined right now by retired NYPD detective and professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, Michael Alcazar. Thank you for being with us. First of all, I know the NYPD is pushing back on those numbers from the police union, saying that departures are only slightly higher than the previous year in 2021. But with the rise in crime, wouldn't this still point to a very dangerous situation?
Yeah, this is not the time to lose police officers. Historically, summer months are always the highest in crime, highest in shootings, highest in homicides. We're on track to hit that also, and we're losing a lot of police officers. We also have poor recruitment. I had students that I teach in John Jay that normally are usually excited to get on the police department. This past April, I had 3 students that were supposed to go into the police academy, and they turned it down. They're apprehensive. They're not sure if it's something they want to do anymore, and they're scared. They're asking me for advice, and I don't give advice to my students. That's a decision. That's a life decision they have to make for themselves. If they're not ready, I don't recommend they go into it.
In terms of a lot of departments actually pointing to the great resignation, of course we're seeing more officers leave because people of every industry are leaving and retiring. But from what you're seeing, the numbers you're seeing, are more police officers and members of law enforcement retiring earlier? Because when you are a police officer, typically you stay in it. You stay in it for decades. But are we seeing more officers actually turn in their badges before they would typically?
Yeah, it's something I've actually never experienced, I've heard of, where police officers are actually quitting in the police academy, quitting before they hit their 20 years. And then when you have the senior people that are eligible for retirement, meaning they've done their 20 years, like myself, I did 30, and I stayed because I enjoyed the job. When they're eligible to retire, they retire. They don't want to play pension roulette. They're not sure if they're going to get the backing of the department. The city council pretty much makes everything like for the criminal. They don't support the police officers. They don't know if police officers don't know if qualified immunity is on the table. Do they have the protections? If they do their work properly, legally, are they going to be indemnified by the police department? And that's something they're asking themselves. So if they're not sure, they're leaving, they're retiring, and we're losing a lot of senior police officers that are valuable in training new young police officers.
In terms of those officers leaving at record numbers, we've seen the same thing happen here in Chicago, where News Nation is based. Officers who are not being recruited at the same level. In Oakland, California, we're seeing similar situations where the department does not feel supported by the council members or the local community. Is there anything that can be done to turn this around?
Well, in Philadelphia, they're going through the same thing. And I heard that they're thinking about bringing back retired police officers, meaning the retired police officers can collect their pension and then go back to work and earn a salary. And that sounds like desperation to me. I don't know if the New York City Police Department is thinking something like that, but that's something they can look into. I don't know if police officers are willing to come back from retirement. Police officers in New York are underpaid. They're underpaid and they're overworked because there's a shortage of police officers, meaning now they have to answer more radio runs, more 911 calls. Where the average police officer in NYPD used to handle like maybe 8 to 10 jobs during their tour. I heard they're handling like 30 to 40 jobs, and it's a very stressful job to begin with. And it's daunting, and it's bad on their mental and physical welfare. So I think a lot of people, to them, it's become just a job, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And their families don't want to do it anymore.
Right.